Live? Yep, you're live.
Hey everyone. Welcome to Lunch and Life with me and Robin Joy Myers. It's our first week of February. I can't believe, where's the time going?
I don't know. But, I was thinking about something today because someone was talking to me about purpose, and I was thinking about, and I actually posted, in Facebook when memories come up.
Yeah.
3 years ago today that my daughter had graduated from her conservatory. And first of all, the weather in the city was much warmer that day. And, but it made me, think about someone mentioning purpose and then seeing the graduation, how fast time really goes, no matter what.
Right.
That it's so important to get into action. We can say we want to do something, and we can say we think this is what we want, or, the big picture, but until we take those steps, time just passes so fast.
Yeah, I agree. And because it's passing so quickly, like everything else, right? We all have the same 168 hours in a week. Every single person, right? So what differentiates those who seem to get more accomplished than those who don't? And it's putting it into the calendar, putting that time in, scheduling it in. Doesn't matter if it's I'm going to take a bath. I mean, you don't have to schedule in I'm going to the bathroom, but scheduling in all that time, because otherwise it does escape you. And then the day, the week, the month goes by, and here we are, it's February, and it's in the blink of an eye. It just completely flies by. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
But you're right. It is scheduling in the calendar, and maybe not going to the bathroom, but if you want to schedule your spa private time, put it in there, because, we're so good at when we have an appointment, we adhere to that appointment because it's in the calendar. Well, we have to adhere to our self-care as an appointment too. So, yeah, but it's February, and here we are.
I actually just want to add one more thing to that about the scheduling and the self-care, because I'm sure you've noticed this also, Clubhouse, right? The new app that everybody's chasing and looking at, all these different groups. So many entrepreneurs that are creating some groups that are talking about that connection of being successful and self-care, and what does this all mean? And I think for so many people that I've spoken to, you almost feel embarrassed. And I know that I did as well, of it's embarrassing for me to schedule in that I'm doing something for myself. I'm going to take an hour to go for a walk, because I can't do that. I have to be productive. I have to be working.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason why so many people that I've spoken to don't schedule it in. It's a little embarrassing to say, oh, sorry, I've got they're not going to say I've got my hour to myself, but nobody wants to admit that they're doing that. So they're oh, if I leave it off the calendar, I can kind of sneak it in, but then we don't.
We don't. And it's also, you bring up a really good point, Sharon, because it's also two things. One, we don't need to apologize for it, right? Because it's that, and we just have to claim it and just do it, and not say anything. You could say I have an appointment, or I can't be on that call, or whatever you want to say. But you do have an appointment. It is with yourself, but you do have an appointment. And so there's nothing to be embarrassed about. And honestly, for me, the other day, I was being quite transparency here, totally unproductive. And I did. I went out. It was freezing cold, which, shakes you. But it was great because it was fresh, crisp air. And I just kind of shut things down. And you know what? I came back so much clearer. It's still late in the day. I got a few things done, but the next day I just kind of knew where I had to go. Steps were in place, and it was okay.
Right. And knowing that it's okay. So I have a similar, I think we both were talking that day that we both were experiencing it and thinking, is there something going on with the planets? But I had the same, mine was Tuesday afternoon, and I was like, you know what? I can't, because I was just spinning my wheels, and I was not productive. And then when you're not productive, you start all that self-talk, and that's not productive, because then you start going down the rabbit hole.
Right.
Same thing. I shut everything down. It had just snowed on Monday, and I met one of my girlfriends from childhood. Iris, if you're watching, yep, hi. That's And we went for a really nice walk in Central Park, and it was so refreshing. It was so invigorating, and it cleared my head because I just stopped and allowed myself that space. And that is so important for all of us, because not only for our mental health and our businesses or relationships, but our physical health, because
Right.
stress then gets reduced. So the cortisol that we're constantly pumping out, gets reduced, and then we can rest and digest, which our bodies need to be in. It needs to be in the parasympathetic mode of like rest and digest. And we're
Right.
constantly heightened with the sympathetic, it's like on, fight or flight.
Right.
So the next day I was so productive. Today I'm being productive. It's okay.
It's okay. And you honestly can't, I don't care who's going to try and sell you this, but you can't go on all the time, right? I was listening to a podcast about multitasking. Like, you can't do. Like, your brain can't fully focus on heavier tasks together, right? Mm-hmm. There's only so much you can do. So you can't be on. And you have to give yourself time to kind of back it out and kind of reset.
Right, absolutely. So here we are today, and it's February, and this weekend is Superbowl, which is kind of weird, right? Because we're not having, well, some people are, but I know we're not having like huge Super Bowl parties. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's kind of, okay, well, what can we do to have some fun? How can we have healthier foods and snacks and enjoy it, indulge, and, just have it be a day of us, a day of you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, back in the kitchen where we like to be, we decided to take some of what we thought were kind of, we actually went and kind of looked at what the favorite snacks are, right? The buffalo seasonings and stuff like that. So we try to get some of those finger foods, I guess, and put a spin to it. And what are our favorites? So that's what we wanted to bring you today.
Yeah.
And so I also try to we're learning StreamYard. Well, let me say Sharon's fine. I'm learning StreamYard. So I started to write a post, and I didn't realize that you can actually do this. So I'm going to show you something, but I do have some typos. So sorry for anybody who's an English teacher and watching. But it comes into part of why we do what we do with this show and why we love to cook, right? Because I said that cooking's like life. And it's the metaphor of it, right? Because what ingredients are you adding into your life recipe? Okay, so your *RE, like you are the chef. Sorry.
What happens when you're busy typing and talking, multitasking?
I can't do it. But you season it to your taste, right? And that's how you should deal with life, right? We're all unique, and so we season it to our taste. So just think about that as you're cooking away.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's such a play on words, right? Because it's seasoning life, it's seasoning the foods, it's seasoning our stomachs, physically, mentally, emotionally. And that's what health is, like being healthy. It's about all of that. So if you're watching this live, post something in the comments. If you're watching it after the recording, post something in the comments so that we can engage in a conversation. Let us know, what are some things that you bring into, what are your ingredients for life?
Would love that. Love to know that.
In the meantime, so let's switch over. So what we did was we divided and conquered, where Robin is going to share her air-popped artichokes and buffalo cauliflower, and I'm going to share healthy onion rings because I actually love onion rings. So just a side story. In college, we would go out like at midnight or 1 a.m. after you go to a few bars and hang out, to the diner, a whole bunch of us. And it's terrible when I think back now, like, oh my God.
I know.
Cheeseburger deluxes at like 1 a.m. Cheeseburger, all this fat, all this terrible, with onion rings and French fries.
I do love onion rings. I really do.
So when I have such great memory, so I'm going to show you the onion rings and the sweet potato fries. And incidentally, these recipes that we're sharing with you, if you have young kids and you're watching this, these are such great recipes to get the whole family involved, especially younger kids. Well, the ones who can't chop, I'm going to show you like how we dredge some of this, and it's all messy. It's like finger painting.
Mhm.
And it just brings laughter and joy, which is another ingredient into joy, a joyful life, right? And we discussed joy last month, right?
Definitely. You know, one of my greatest memories, and I've shared this with you, when I was young, a kid, one of my most favorite memories was cooking with my mom in the kitchen. And even though I couldn't see over the countertop, she got me a mini step stool, and I literally would like drag it around behind her, set it right next to her, and look up to see what she was doing. And she gave me whatever I could do. Which brings me up to, let's do the cauliflower recipe, because I had so much fun with this personally today. Either I need excitement in my life or I'm just having a really fun day. But I usually chop cauliflower kind of nice, but I didn't realize you can just like yank this stuff apart. Kids would love this. Look, you can make little ones, looks like a brain. You can have a whole conversation about this whole thing, but you can like literally tear this thing apart. Now I'm making a mess on the counter, but it is so much fun. Kids at all ages could do this. Will it be a mess? Absolutely, but life is messy. It's good for them to play. So this recipe is super, super easy. You basically, we'll have to post the recipe, and I don't have it up in front of me, but you are taking flour and salt and paprika and some pepper and garlic powder. And you're going to mix all your dry ingredients and milk. Now you can use milk. You can use an alternative. Since I'm dairy free, I used almond milk. And you basically make a batter. And this is what's left of this batter because I did cook it. So it's literally a batter, and it looks kind of pink. And you just put all of your broken up cauliflower in it. You mix it all up, and you bake for 20 minutes at 450. Halfway through, kind of flip them over. Continue to bake. While that's baking, on the side, you're going to use Cholula sauce, which Sharon's going to talk about in a minute, instead of a hot sauce. And it actually calls for honey and oil. And it says you can use coconut oil or vegetable oil. So I did 2 rounds of this, actually. I did not like the oil in it. First of all, again, since we're vegan in this household, I used maple syrup. And I didn't like the texture of the oil in it. So trash that. I had 10 more minutes and just used Cholula and maple syrup.
And Cholula is fantastic as an option for hot sauce. You know, so many times we go to the supermarket, and it's like everything else. There's so many different types of hot sauces, tomato sauces, and we sometimes will go with a brand that sounds familiar, or we saw an ad, or somebody mentioned it without reading the ingredients. And a lot of these sauces might contain high fructose corn syrup or oils that are not healthy for us, or added sugar. And Cholula, Robin, read the ingredients.
Water, peppers, salt, vinegar, garlic powder, some spices.
That's what you want to look for. You want to look for ingredients that have the least amount of ingredients, not any extra, especially for a hot sauce. You don't need the extra oil. You don't need the extra sugar. You don't need the high fructose corn syrup.
Right.
And that's one of my favorites also.
Yeah, no, love this. So you take that out of the oven. You basically, take your little brush here, and then you will paint your cauliflower.
Kids love to do.
Kids love to do. And so if you're just, you watch them so they don't burn themselves, and you're good to go. And then it bakes for another 20 minutes or so until you get cauliflower that looks like, here we go again. Soda. Anyways, in the bowl. This is so much easier to do. So I started to take it off the cookie sheet. You can line your cookie sheet with parchment paper or one of those. I use one of those silicone cookie sheets. And I've learned to actually do parchment paper and then the cookie sheet. So I don't know. It does something with the moisture I like. So anyways, there's your cookie.
Delicious. Wait. Hold up the bowl. Let me grab one. Okay.
What do you think?
Those look really, really good. I'm almost thinking, wow, it would look probably great even sprinkled with like some fresh cilantro, even some chopped green onion.
Oh, I have chopped green onion.
Right?
And I didn't even get that far. Sorry, folks. Cut you short. You could make a dipping sauce if you like dipping sauces, you know, and you again, you can use a dairy version. You don't have to use a dairy version. That's up to you. But super easy. You know, cauliflower is one of those things as a kid I really disliked. It's so bland. I think my grandmother just like made it just boiled and bland.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things that absorbs spices. So you can really do anything with it. You know?
I love cauliflower. I have fond memories of my grandmother making it with dredging it in like egg and flour and like sauteing it on the stove. So I've always loved cauliflower. I'm going to make that recipe for sure for Sunday.
It's really good. It really is. It's very good.
And we're going to post, what we're going to do is, we'll list it below. Maybe if we have the opportunity, we'll put it into a document and upload it if we can do that. We're still learning, figuring out how to do that on YouTube. But you will get the recipe. What I want to share next are the oven fried onion rings. So going back to the onion rings that I used to love to have, and then I stopped eating them because they were fried. And I just, the oil, it's so inflammatory, not good for you. So I found a healthier recipe. And, my son with Crohn's, we really are gluten-free and a lactose-free. We're not vegan, but so I swap out a lot of the ingredients in the recipe. So like this one calls for flour. So instead of regular flour, I use a gluten-free oat flour. And some people can use a rice flour. And then it calls for paprika, salt, and it calls for buttermilk. So what I've used instead is a coconut kefir, because it's got that thick consistency. You can also maybe try an unsweetened thick coconut yogurt as well, right? So there's a couple of different options, or a can of full-fat coconut milk. Okay. It's a little creamier than the kefir, so it depends on how thick, right? And the reason that they're using the buttermilk and I'm substituting it for the kefir is that thickness of that batter that surrounds the onion ring, which is that big crunch that you want to crunch into. And we're not vegan, so we used eggs, and it calls for panko breadcrumbs. And I instead used rice flour breadcrumbs, which are right here. And I use olive oil. So the recipe is a little bit more in, I don't want to say like so much intensive, but it's definitely messy. So again, a lot of fun to have with your kids. So with this, it's like you have to combine the bowl of, and you can see I still have a piece of onion in here, of just the flour with the salt, and then you take, I don't want this to pour out. I don't know if you can notice. I can't wait. Oh, wait. Forgot about this. There we go. So that's the dredging part with the kefir and the eggs, and you pour some of the flour mixture into that, and then you take the rice crumbs and you drizzle olive oil. And then when you do that, so you're putting it into the flour, the batter, and then into this panko mix, and you can see, well, this one's actually coated, it coats better. And then you just place it on a parchment-lined baking sheet. You bake at 450 for 15 minutes. Really very, very simple. It's quick. And then you get, and I'm going to just, you get.
Oh, no, I want one.
That, huh? Yeah, grab one. Let me know how it tastes. And similarly to what Robin said, if you want to make dips, there are so many ways that you can make dips in a healthy way that are fun and tasty. Just because something is healthy doesn't mean it doesn't taste good. It's finding ways to be creative with that. And this, I can't wait, because I'm going to make more of these and definitely serve this on Super Bowl Sunday, because I'm going to be finishing those later.
Make those. Good segue about rice crumbs and so forth. So the artichokes. So I like to do artichoke hearts. Now you can bake these. I had gotten an air fryer. And if you have one, awesome. If you don't, I'm telling you, it is like the greatest thing in the world. You don't use oil or anything like that. Yes, you can bake, but it's just so quick and easy, and it's delicious. So I did these in the air fryer just to do it for you, because I can. So
It's funny because I don't own an air fryer, and I would never really thought to use one until you and I were talking about it. I thought, wow, that's such a great idea.
Yeah. If I am around on a Saturday morning, I tend to like just zoom in on the Food Network and just kind of watch everything that kind of goes on. And so air fryers were on one day, and I was like, wow, you can make that and you can make that. And it's very fun. I end up so I go to Trader Joe's quite a bit. I start with frozen artichoke hearts that are cut in half. And I like the flash frozen ones because you want them cold, and you don't want them to start falling apart. So I just take olive oil. So it's really, really simple. Olive oil and salt and pepper. And then I add red chili flakes to it. And so I make my rice crumbs now. Remember, I was talking about rice crumbs, how much I loved rice crumbs. And I was like, there's got to be a way. Nobody has rice crumbs. So what do? You toast the rice that you like. So if you like jasmine rice, I think this is jasmine. And you toast it up. I season it a little bit, and then you grind. And so it's gluten-free. I learned this in Italy, actually, because the ladies that were cooking during our retreat, the first night they didn't know that I was vegetarian. And so they're like, we're going to make you something. It was almost like a tempura platter, but they took all these vegetables, and I was like, what is this? Because it was really a thin layer, and it was all rice crumbs. So I'm hooked. Anyways, it's a great layer. So after in a bowl, basically in a bowl, and I saved one fruit in. Olive oil, literally a drizzle around them all. Salt, pepper. I don't measure. So like 3 twists of a salt shaker, a pepper shaker, and sprinkle of the chili pepper. Sprinkle enough to cover the top of the bowl of the artichokes with the rice crumbs. And then mix it kind of gently, because as they thaw, they'll fall apart. So really gently, just try and flip them over. And then repeat. A quick drizzle, salt, pepper, chili flakes, a little more of the rice crumbs. Literally, then you put a single layer in the air fryer. Hold on. My air fryer looks like this, the pan. So just you put it in. And I set it at 400 degrees for 14 minutes. And then you get these little beauties. Hold on.
Those look delicious.
And they are truly delicious.
And I can imagine that you could probably do that with so many different types of vegetables, right? So
I've done it with asparagus. Same ingredients, like literally the same ingredients. I've done it with all kinds of peppers. I've done it with mushroom caps. It's great. They're really
And the reason that we're sharing these vegetable alternatives for instead of just chips and guac and chips is that certainly you can still have that, but it's about what other flavors and textures can I bring in that are providing me with more nutrition. Right. So, these vegetables, they have potassium, they have fiber, they've got all these vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients that reduce inflammation. They're filled with antioxidants, and they fill you up. So because of the fiber that's in them, right? So instead of going for the chips, which are fried, and again, this isn't about judgment, but it's about being able to say, let me have some of that, but I don't want to have too much, and having a variety of colorful foods to choose from.
Well, and you said it. It's filling because it's satisfying, right? So it's not just sometimes if I binge on chips, you just eat, right? And you mindlessly eat. Where this is, it's tasty, it's filling, and it's healthier.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. And here's the thing too, like the guacamole, right? Again, going back to we're so accustomed to dipping with chips. Avocado is so healthy, right? It's got great fats. It has fiber. It has protein. So it's a good food for you. But then what can you dip it in? And being able to add more fiber in is so important because it helps to manage your cholesterol, keep your blood sugar level, helps with better bowel movements. And we need it in our bodies for those reasons, So it's a great way to alternate, to have that variety and have fun with it, so that you don't feel like, oh, I'm having a healthy food. It's like shifting the way that we look at it.
And also to bring in different dipping things, right? You don't need to have just chips to dip with. You can have other veggies. And honestly, as well, guacamole is so easy to make. Just scoop your avocado. Frankly, lemon juice, salt, and pepper, and a good mashed avocado is delicious. Maybe
and I love adding fresh chopped cilantro to that. I love
add fresh chopped cilantro. Like, you can add other stuff to it, and it's great. And you don't have to store buy it. It's probably much fresher and healthier. And
yeah. So even if you're going to do like pigs in a blanket, which is another popular food, go ahead and have maybe 1 or 2 of those. But then what about making sweet potato fries, which was next on the list of what we want to share with you. And you definitely want to have like a good chopping knife, and it's important to keep your knife sharpened. So do you have one at home, like a sharpener to sharpen your knives?
I do.
They get dull. I mean, you can always take it into, you're right. So I have a bigger one. I think it's Chef's Made, where it's like motorized, so it's like you just sharpen your knife with it. But it's really good to have an important one. And there are actually classes to teach you how to use your knives properly. But you can just chop them up to whatever you want in terms of size. It could be a little bit skinny, a little fat. You do want them as uniform as possible so that they bake evenly. And so simple with sweet potato fries, completely vegan, because you can use eggs to dredge it in, but all you need is either a tapioca flour or some sort of a rice flour or oatmeal flour, where you just dredge it lightly with that and with some salt, and I pour some avocado oil on it. So a lot of times I happen to like this brand, and I got it at Whole Foods, and I just dredge it lightly. And what I needed to do, I didn't have a chance before this show started, but you want to line them up just in a single line, and you cook it for about 15 minutes. You bake for about 15 minutes at 450. Incidentally, the other recipe for the onion rings is also at 450. And then you turn it over so you can get both sides, and you do it for like another 10 minutes so that they can get crispy. And then you can even add any other seasonings. And Robin, as a cook, as a chef, you love seasonings. It just adds so much flavor. And when our mouths can sense all the different flavors, that also enriches the experience. And
that satisfies you too, right? It satisfies the desire to eat.
Exactly. And again, sweet potatoes, so healthy for you. The potassium, the fiber, great for brain and eye health. Anything that has the beta carotene in it, that's going to improve your eyesight. I'm not saying go and eat, like a whole bag of sweet potatoes every day, but bringing in as many colors of the rainbow into your repertoire is going to provide you with a wholesome sense of nutrients and, some good tasting food.
It's good. It is good.
Yeah. So what are you doing this Sunday for Super Bowl? Just the family?
Just 3 people that are in the house. So
yeah,
not going anywhere, not having a party, nothing like that. So
it's definitely a different year for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. When my kids were little, we used to do the boxes where it's like, how long is the anthem going to be singing for? You'd have to put like how many minutes, what's the first commercial going to be? What's the score going to be after the first quarter? And then everybody picked their boxes, put their initials in, they dumped $5 on the table. And it was,
oh my gosh, we did the same thing in our old house. We used to have major parties. So everybody would be over, we'd have boards going everywhere, and, betting on everything,
whatever you can think of. And that's actually a fun way, even if you're not doing a Super Bowl party, you can create a Zoom party, right? And then you can still create those boxes and have a Super Bowl bet, where everybody is participating, and then you can have more people, kind of join in on the fun.
Yeah, it's a great idea, and connect again. So call your friends and neighbors and family that you were going to have over, or you had over last year, and do a Zoom.
And that's adding more ingredients to bring joy into your life.
Nice note there.
And I think we're going to end the segment, right?
Perfect. Nice going. As always.
As always, love unpacking lunch and life with you, Robin.
I love unpacking lunch and life with you, Sharon.
And stay tuned for next week. We're going to be talking about Valentine's Day and heart health and making a nice little aphrodisiac style dinner for you and your special someone. Bring that joy and ingredients into your life.
Stay tuned for next week.
Have a great day.
All right. Take care, everybody.